What's up, everybody? Matt Aguilar here from Comic Book Nation, and I am here with the amazing Janelle Wheeler because it is a special day. It is Doctor Who Day. We're going to
Yes.
talk about Doctor Who. Had its big series premiere on Friday night. I feel like, man, that Friday night thing could it just happen on Friday morning so we
Yeah,
can talk
I
about it
agree. I
on the
know.
show? But this
We've
is
been
great
waiting.
because it gives us an excuse to jump in here. Hi, Janelle. What's up?
Great. Yeah, I'm here. I'm happy. Our intro music felt so Doctor Who-y to me. I don't know why. It was like maybe I'm just biased today, but I'm loving it. I'm wearing my Who shirt. If you guys aren't watching live, I've got a pixelated Mario coming out of a TARDIS. Yeah, this is real, y'all. Doctor Who is back. I'm very excited.
Yeah, there is a lot of geekery going on behind me, but there is one thing missing, and that is there is no TARDIS. There is no police box sitting back here. I need to fix that. I need to get
Yeah,
on
we
top of
need
that.
we need some Who stuff.
Yeah, very much so. And I feel like I'm actually probably going to be saying that a lot after as the season continues, because for me, this is like and we've talked a little bit about it on the main show. But for those who don't know, and this is actually quite fitting with the season premiere because there's like a whole episode based on getting you up to speed. But for those who don't know, Janelle is like one of the biggest Doctor Who fans around. She is definitely her and Jamie Lovett are kind of comic books to Doctor Who experts, biggest fans.
I
And
like to
for
say
me, I'm
super
kind of
fan.
yes,
I
yes.
hate saying expert at anything, that's so
Okay,
intimidating.
fine. Super fan.
Super
That's
fan.
fair. I'm the same way. I'm the
Yeah,
same way on
yeah,
comics. I am a super fan, not an expert, because I couldn't
yeah,
tell you who inked something in
yeah,
1974.
right,
Um,
exactly.
but for me, I'm a little more lapsed. I've dabbled in other seasons. I've watched bits and pieces and caught things, but really, like the last one was the 11th. Was essentially kind of the reboot when it first came back, and Eccleston was the
Oh, yeah.
Doctor. I love that season, and I love him as the Doctor.
Is he your
So
favorite?
he's my favorite. Now
Oh
I say that
my
being that I haven't fully watched Smith's season. I haven't
god!
fully watched Tennant's season. So like or
What?
seasons. So there's like bits and pieces that I'm missing. And I feel like that
Yeah,
could be, that it's somewhat out of not knowing some of the other doctors as well as him.
yeah.
But even of the stuff I've seen, his mix of quirky and weird is just something I
And
loved. And I love the
serious.
pairing. Oh, it's
Yeah,
so good.
yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from. And so I figure
Cool.
it's a great 1-2 punch for
Yeah.
this new Doctor, Disney's first Doctor Who, right, of the new kind of
Yes.
regime and stuff. Um Interestingly enough, they did a double premiere, but there's actually 3 episodes
Right.
because
The
they
Christmas
kind of
special.
packaged the Christmas special
Mhm.
as the first episode. Um for you, Janelle, kind of coming into this, one,
Yeah.
what are your kind of thoughts overall on the premiere and stuff? But two, is that first one kind of mandatory watching? Because it kind of is for me. Like, if I didn't have
Yes.
that, I would be lost.
Yeah, I normally the Christmas specials are kind of standalones, like as in companions will pop up just for a Christmas special. Like Kylie Minogue is one of my favorites, where she came in for a Christmas special and like that was it. This one, it's Ruby, and you get to know her story. And apparently, I mean, in both of these new episodes, I've noticed that it's critical that you kind of know her story and where she comes
Yeah.
from, and I think it's going to tie into the entire rest of the season and or maybe just her entire storyline. I don't know how long she's confirmed to be companion, but definitely at least in this full season, like it's going to be very important. So I would definitely say watch that. But you also need to watch the anniversary special too, because then you're getting our introduction to the new Doctor. So if you have never watched Doctor Who, I do feel like you could start off with the anniversary special, the Christmas special, and then these 2 episodes. I know that feels really intimidating. Take your time with it. You don't have to binge these. They're pretty intense each episode separately. So, yeah, that's what I would do as like a new fan. And I do have some cons, but we'll we'll get to that. But like for newbies, I do feel like they've done a really beautiful job of explaining who these people are, their background, and still making you feel like allured. Like, okay, what is everything? You're not supposed to know everything with the doctor, by the way. Everyone is like one of my biggest criticisms is like of this whole these 2 episodes is that he tries to explain why he has his name. He's never done that. No, we don't need you
Yeah.
to it's you need to be, shy about that. I love it when you don't know. I've been watching this forever and I still don't know what his actual name is or the meaning or it's just he always kind of like shies away from saying anything. So, it's interesting how much more information they're trying to give us in this first premiere episode. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I think you can see the
Were you
the
gonna say the Disney?
Disney-fication of it. I
I
think you can see the
agree.
Dis yes. Now, I don't mean that necessarily in a negative because I feel like that automatically gets, like, has this negative connotation.
Right,
But
right.
we are dealing with when you have Disney backing, you become, um, open to a new, wider audience. It just comes with the territory. Disney's
Totally.
has reach, okay? Disney has reach, and
Yeah.
so, yes, so does the BBC, so does, like, everything else, but it's different. Disney has
Oh,
a
yeah.
international reach that like you're now appealing to more than just, this one very popular devoted fan base. And so you're going to have a lot of the idea is right. And we've even seen it in interviews of like, hey, Doctor Who should be even bigger than it is. Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like this pop culture, beloved iconic thing and it should have this wider presence you feel like. And I've even heard like, there's been interviews with like the creative team and people behind it, right, saying like it should be bigger. So they're rolling this out with the intent of let's open this up to an even bigger audience. Let's bring more people on board. And to do that, you do need to kind of widen the lens a little bit and maybe explain things that
You need a
people
lot of
who have been
context, yeah.
yeah, yeah, because I feel like that's something that so like the line where I feel like you're talking about, right? Even it's in the first and when I say first episode, I mean the first premiere episode, not the
Mhm.
Christmas special, but the first Space Babies. I'll refer to it that way
Yes,
so you know what I'm
Space
talking about.
Babies.
So in Space Babies, when he does say that and he's responding, see, I liked that because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's interesting because I don't know that information really. I don't have a lot of context and
Mhm.
so I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes total sense of the lords and the I was like, oh, okay, well, this is how we refer to each other." And now if he had gone any further than that initially, I would have been like, "Okay, I'm good." Like that's
Yeah,
perfect and it's I needed that and I can understand it moving forward.
right.
But I do think we're going to see things in there. I do agree with you though. There are moments where like he didn't really have to explain that. Like he didn't really
Yeah,
have to
like
say
the
that. It does
Time
feel like
Lord
exposition out
history
loud.
and yeah.
Yeah.
I think I mean, I'm it's hard for me because I know so much, but I do think I will gladly take a little bit of like a, "Oh, let me check my phone and see if someone texted me," while he explains his name and or background
Yeah.
so that we can get more people on board, so that they can understand. I'm okay with that. As a Whovian, I'm okay with that, and I'm not mad about it at all because I am one of those people, I just want more people to love it. So,
Right. And
that's
I
okay
think
with
this
me.
really is the intent. I really do
Yeah.
get that feeling from these episodes that like and yes, we know Davies is already back in the chair, right? So you can feel that
Yeah.
effect as well.
Absolutely.
But the like, when he and I will say though, there are things that I knew obviously like one of the foundational things, right, is the war and
Yep.
what happened to his planet and all those things. The way he delivered that line
Mhm.
I knew that information and I still felt that in my chest. I was like,
Yeah.
"Whew," that was the way he like he just throws it out there. He's incredibly blunt, not in a bad way, but just he's very blunt.
Oh,
They kind of
yeah.
traded in the curmudgeonly thing we've seen
Yes.
from other doctors for
Uh-huh.
bluntness.
Yeah, and I think he honestly, I feel like he's a, kind of, like, optimist, and a lot of doctors have been pessimists in the past. So, I think he's, like, fighting within himself to he's like, I just wanna be so different than any iteration of myself before. I wanna be, kind of tied up in this positivity." Now, I think like, now we're getting really deep and down the rabbit hole, but I think that it's going to bite him in the end, that I think he is stifling a lot of negative energy, but he is determined to be Mr. Sunshine Positivity, even with like bad news. He's just kind of like, yeah, this happened.
Yeah.
And the emotion, I think, is going to just sneak up on him later on in the season. That's what I think. He's such a great actor. He's doing such a good job in this role that I truly believe that that is written like that on purpose.
Yeah, I do get the vibe, and it's a really good point too, because that would also allow you to like re-examine earlier episodes and see
Mhm.
those if he ends up having kind of this
The
meltdown at
cracks,
some point
yeah.
throughout the season,
Yeah.
or just it all boils over. That kind of brings us to the one of the obviously you have the doctor and then you have the companion, and the companion is as important,
Yeah.
and sometimes if not more important than the doctor. And I adore
Oh my
her.
gosh, me too.
I
Me
adore
too.
Ruby so much.
Yep.
Also I have look, everyone knows this, right? Who watches the and listens to the main show. I have a soft spot for like when we're talking about foster care, when we're talking about foster kids. So Ruby's story automatically, even from the Christmas special, kind of hits that, a
Mhm.
lot of things I get in my feels a lot, right? And so her story, and then when you're, introducing like, her foster mom into the picture, and then also the importance of like her actual lineage and things like that that we're still playing on with Ruby, because there's still a lot of unanswered questions and mystery around that. It really feels like she has significance, as kind of Janelle mentioned, even before we were talking on the show, of
Yeah.
like, it feels like there's a lot to that story, and that is something critical to the rest of the season. But so far, I just adore her.
She gives me Clara vibes, and I'm not sure if you've gotten to Clara yet, but Clara started off with Matt Smith, and, uh, she I don't know, man. Ruby just makes me think of a young Clara, and it scares me because I hate the way that that story ended. And she was so much more important than when you first meet her at the end of her run. She is like critically important to like everything. And I have goosebumps. I just feel like this is going to be another Clara moment. And I'm excited, but also very timidly excited because it can go really wrong in this show. I'm curious to see how dark they're going to get on Disney because some Doctor Who storylines and some episodes, you have the monsters, you have the sci-fi, you have the special effects, you have the cheesy jokes, whatever, but some of them get pretty dark, and
Yeah.
some of the fates of our favorite companions are sad, like straight up just sad. So, I don't know. I To me, this seems like this could go really heavy for her endgame. I just can't stop thinking about it. Like where there's too many of like, we have the our music gal saying that she's a strange character, or like she's a weirdo. Like something's triggering a
Yeah.
lot with I mean, Ruby seems really important, which is kind of surprising that they're doing that so early on in the season. Um, Usually it's a slow burn and then you kind of realize, but man, I mean, right off the bat, you're like, "Oh man, this is someone very important to the future." I'm
Yeah.
excited.
No, I agree. And yes, I do see you over here. And thank you for the compliments on the hair, on the pompadour. I appreciate it. Um, the yeah, no, I agree with you. I think part of it is just how like charismatic she is, and also their dynamic. So I feel like they
Mhm.
probably thought, okay, like we can tease this stuff early because you're already in. Like she's just so it's so hard not to root for her. She's
Mhm.
just and so you get that feeling right away. So they probably just felt like it's they could do it because of the sheer like them two together, watching them interact and stuff is so good that why not tease some of that stuff early on.
Yeah.
But I do hope we get kind of more of those smaller reveals along the way, like to keep that whole thing interesting. It
I
would
have
be
so much
crazy though
faith.
if we were like waiting for like halfway through, and then all of a sudden this just like bomb drops. It's
It's
just like
it's
um
happened.
yeah, it has,
It
right?
has. Yeah.
Also, I will say Deadpool and Wolverine does give me a lot of hope that like because we had some of those fears coming into that, right? Are they going to keep
Mhm.
that? And once you get to the third, D joke in the
Yeah.
in the trailer, you're like, okay, well, I guess we're good. Like, I guess they're keeping that, right?
I thought you were about to
And
say Wolverine and
no, no,
Deadpool
and
are the
I
Doctor
can't,
and
man. I gotta keep this
Companion.
PG. I gotta keep this
I was like, are
PG-13
they
at
the new
least.
Doctor and Companion? That'd be great. I would totally watch Deadpool flying around with a Wolverine sidekick. That'd be awesome.
So, like, it just makes me think that, okay, they're and also, like, who they brought back in,
Mhm.
I imagine you don't go into that going like, "Hey, we're just gonna you gotta keep everything," you can't do all that stuff because that's what makes Doctor Who part of what makes Doctor Who compelling is that
Mhm.
they aren't afraid to go dark. They aren't
Yeah.
afraid to dip into heavier themes. There have been heartbreaking deaths, in the series, and, that's part of it. It's that unpredictability.
Yeah.
We can go from visiting dinosaurs to having people who are music arch villains, and then we can drop something like really hit you with something like right in the gut,
Yeah.
and do that. um Before, so you mentioned some cons. So what
Yeah.
would your biggest cons be of, because I think we've praised it a lot over the
Yeah.
first episodes. What do you think this show could be doing better?
Now I forget. Because I mean, I definitely, like I said, like the a lot of the information being revealed in a kind of PowerPoint feeling way, like just let's get this out of the way and just say the entire backstory. This moment here where she steps on a butterfly, and it's they're acknowledging the butterfly effect thing. Like you
Yeah.
change one thing in the future, and then you're gonna change, or in the past, you're gonna change everything in the future. I've never known the Doctor to just like pick up a dead creature and like breathe it back to life. Like, does he have new powers that I don't know about? Like, I don't understand that. That just felt very out of nowhere. And there's been a few things here and there that happen where I'm going, wait, does he have a new power set? Is something like no explanation? It just happens. Like we didn't even see regeneration like magic when he did that. So I was I was confused on that. Also, I I'm guessing this actor is just a brilliant singer dancer and they want to just use that to the best of their ability. So they're turning a lot of these episodes into musical numbers. Not necessary for me. I don't watch Doctor Who for the musical section of it. So like it was cute, like the Spice Girl version from Christmas or wait, was that no, the anniversary special, we got like the Spice Girl song and dance. Cool, love it. It's British. I'm obsessed with the Spice Girls. I have the Barbies behind me in my shelf. But I hated the musical on the Christmas special. I absolutely despised it. And then, we have another musical number, although it is a musical episode. So, like, there's a reason, but it's kind of getting a little much for me. Like, I'm like, we don't need almost every episode to have a musical number. I think it's okay to just be a show. You don't have to, but he's this fantastic dancer and singer and performer. I'm like, are they doing that because that's one of the actor's skills? Is that why they're throwing it in there so much? I don't know. That's my biggest criticism. I don't need musicals. But, those are my cons. Do you have any cons?
Man, okay, number one, Janelle, we're on the same wavelength because I
Yeah.
have been on this forever. Okay, I'm one of the few. Okay, that did not like the Buffy musical. Okay,
Oh
I don't
god.
like the anytime you inject a random musical number into my show,
Yeah.
I just don't care, and it can be great. And
Yeah.
and some of those are
Yeah.
it's not because I love musicals, by the way. I was
Me
in
too.
some, like,
I
in
studied
school. I'm not saying
theater.
I'm like an
Yeah.
actor. I'm
Yeah.
not an actor, okay? But yeah, yeah. I was just, like, I love musicals. Like, I sang in choir, right? So it's nothing to do with like not like musicals, but I like them here and I like my show here.
Time and
And when the
place.
two
Yeah.
cross, it better be great because I typically don't care for it. It's just the
Yeah.
thing. I just, yeah. So I'm with you. I don't need those. Like, I'm cool with one every so often, but like
Correct.
let's keep that to a minimum and make those special because it's not, I don't expect, like, it's not a Disney animated movie. I know what I'm getting, and I love those, but I know going in, I'm gonna get like 5 musical numbers, and I
Yep.
love it, and we're good, but we're talking,
Oh, I
teapots and
love that
stuff
we're on
and
the same
beasts.
page here. I wish we had
Yes.
someone arguing for it, but it's
No,
just a
no,
little
no, no.
much. It's a little
Yeah.
much.
The other thing is really just, and I think this is more about, so like from one of yours, right? Where it's
Mhm.
the powers or unexplained
Right.
things. I always try and go, okay, well, right now I don't know, but if they explain it to me at some point in the season and they make that a point of, hey, by the way, this is why that did it and it was part of the plan, I'm always cool with it because I'm like, okay, that just means I didn't know. So I'm always like, I can't punish a show for just not telling me everything right up front. Like I gotta
Mhm.
get it right, right? So I always reserve my judgment on certain things like that until I see at least, halfway through. And then I'm like, okay, can we get to it already? Can you explain it? But the other thing I try and do is like I try and give an actor time to get into a rhythm for a character. And for, this, you know, Shooty does such a good job. Like he's so good in this role. There are just weird lines for me that like there are times I feel like he's yelling at me. And it's just it's just and it's just in the delivery.
He's very
It's
intense. Yes, you're
He's
right.
yeah, and so,
Yeah.
like, he'll say a line, and it'll just be like, why are you yelling at me? Why are you yelling
Or
at
why are you
Ruby?" And
yelling
it's
at
not
Ruby?
he's
Yeah.
smiling, he's not,
Yes.
like it's not because he's angry, it's just very, like it's just
Intense.
very yeah, intense, and sometimes it just kinda takes you out of and
Uh-huh.
so there are times it works and times it doesn't, and I feel like stuff like that, it's just stuff that as the season goes on, he gets more you find that sweet spot, and I think that'll kind of soften over time and he'll find the right balance and rhythm to it. So I
Mhm.
I fully hope anyway that kind of by the end I'm like, yeah, that worked itself out, right? Like he found the rhythm. But in the first couple episodes it's like there are some times that just kind of it's jarring
Yeah. I know
to do
exactly
that.
what you're talking about. It's like when we meet our villain in episode 2, and he's like, "I can't fight this," or whatever. It's very intense, like very I know exactly what you're talking about. That's so funny. And I agree with you actually. And that's where I'm like, is this a choice? Or
Right.
is this, like, for the actual character? Is that him showing his cracks? Like, what's maybe brewing underneath? Or is it just, the actor getting to know his own character portrayal and everything, That's I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it very much, and that brings us that's a perfect segue,
Yeah.
because, you mentioned the villain, right? And this is,
Yes.
um, the Maestro is,
Maestro.
kind of being billed as like, especially in like kind of interviews and previews and things like that of, this is like one of his most challenging villains yet. And we see like really like him on like that line you mentioned, like him on the ropes at a couple times of like, I
Mhm.
can't, this is something outside of my wheelhouse, ironically. Of like, cause the music stuff we just talked about
Yeah.
is very much in his wheelhouse, but this is very much out. What did you think of the introduction? Cause there's some scenes and especially like they took a photo for the press tour or whatever. And I was like,
Mhm.
wow, like that's like they really convey like this character really conveys this kind of has like a presence, and anytime they're in a room anytime they're talking, like I found
Mhm.
myself just like, whoa, like that's a villain, like that's what you want. How did you feel?
Well, I have to start with this. I am a huge fan of RuPaul's Drag Race. And this is Jinx Monsoon. If you don't recognize this character, this lovely character, this is a drag queen who has just rocked RuPaul's Drag Race because of their acting background and their comedy. I mean, they it's one of those people that go on a show and, like, a reality competition. You think of, like, certain people on American Idol or certain people on Survivor that you're like, "Oh, they're going on to do something big because
Yeah.
they have star power." Always felt that about Jinx. Jinx was, like, my favorite, and, almost like above the competition. So when I heard about this casting, my jaw like hit the floor and I was just so excited to see this like crossover. Like we're getting a RuPaul's Drag Race contestant on Doctor Who. Like this is a really big deal. This is such a cool casting. So I already knew what we were getting ready to hit. Like I knew what Jinx was capable of. And so I was not even in the least surprise. I'm like, yep, that's Jinx Monsoon. Like very overacty, very eloquent, very handsy, just all over the place. And obviously really, really evil. Like those brows are spectacular. That makeup is baked. Um and so yeah, I mean, they thrive in this role. I have 0 complaints. I am really excited that they did this casting, and it's just oh gosh, this villain is really cool. Like, I actually liked this villain more than Toymaker, believe it or not.
Interesting you bring that up.
Yeah.
Because because also, like, I gotta imagine, for you as a longtime fan, like, not just the fact that but this was really a win-win-win for you, right? So, not only the fact that they bring in, someone that you already love from another show that you already love, but then they connected them to a character that is infamous in the franchise, and, like, I thought that was a pretty cool drop.
Oh, yeah. So we're talking full spoilers, right?
Yeah, 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 we're fine.
Yeah,
It
so
came out
we
Friday.
so s what I'm understanding is that this is the the kin of Toymaker, correct? So
Yes.
daddy issues, hardcore. But also I love that they explain that the villains this season are gods. Like they're not just an alien from the future. Like these are considered gods. These seem to be some of the most challenging villains that our doctor has gone up against because it's not just going to be the one, it's going to be many. They every
Yeah.
time one goes away, their last thought is, "Hey, there's another one coming. I'm gonna like." And we got that. We got that with Maestro. Maestro is like, "Hey, you think you're done, but there's another one coming right behind me," and that's what Toymaker said. And I'm wondering, like, is there like a prime? Is there like one that's in charge of all of these? Was it Toymaker? Because they're making it sound like it was Toymaker, but I don't see how you could crush like the biggest baddie at the beginning and then all the minions come
Right.
in. So that's gonna be really interesting to see. But if they're all gods, it's unlimited. Like the power is unlimited and like what they can do with like showing their power sets and what they're capable of. I feel like we're gonna have to get some filler episodes. We're gonna have to get some episodes with, like, smaller villains or smaller problems, but the fact that they chose Toymaker and Maestro right off the bat is definitely setting a tone that, like, there's a big bad problem happening on the horizon, and I think that the next episode won't be a god, but I think the one following will.
Well, and that's the one who waits, right?
Yeah.
There's
Oh,
already like
yeah.
teases of things and you're
The
like,
one who
"Okay, like
waits.
it's a great seed." And I got to say like I know, they kind of bring it to, a close. But I want more Maestro. Like you figured
I
that out,
know, me
Like
too.
you figured that out, okay? Like you can, resurrect a butterfly. You can you can figure
Yeah.
out how to bring them back cuz this was awesome. I just was like yeah, it was everything you want a villain to be. It
Yeah.
was the oh, it was awesome. So yeah, I love them and I hope we get to see them again. And I love the whole pantheon of the gods idea. And
Mhm.
also that they embody like, not just, we could you could go into how many times have you seen like the elements of earth,
Right.
right, or wind and all those things. We've seen those mined a lot for godly powers. We've seen mortals and immortals. There's a lot of things we've kind of seen, but I love the
Eternals.
idea here that it's like the the powers and who they're attached to are creative and they're different.
Yeah.
And so, even with Toymaker, right? Like
Yeah.
it's cool. It's very cool. So I am excited about the mystery overall. I know we got a wrap here in a minute, but any last thoughts as far we kind of covered Ruby in the midst of all that.
That's
We kind of
great.
had it separate.
Yeah.
Any thoughts of kind of moving forward, what you're excited about, what you want to see the season do more as it continues?
Yeah, I'm excited to not feel personally attacked by the episodes because I'm I'm just entering my 9-month pregnancy and it was space babies and then I'm a musician and an ex-American Idol and then it was all music related and I'm going, What's going on? I'm very uncomfortable right now. Why is everything I'm like heightened emotionally and I'm like I can't there's two can we just get like a weird the Star Trek reference. That was awesome.
Yes. That was
That was
great.
really cool, and that's what I want. I want more spacey wacy. I love the space stuff, so more space baby type stuff. And really just I actually do want some filler episodes personally. So I don't want every single episode to be a blockbuster like Maestro. I like the space baby type episodes. I like getting to know the characters a little bit and quirky things. That's what makes Doctor Who is just having some weird quirky stuff, not just all drama. So I if they can
Right.
balance that, if they can give us what they've always been giving us, a balance of all those things, I'm not worried at all. I'm just really excited about where they're going with it. I'm loving the casting for both of these lead characters. I really, really am impressed with their casting for villains. I don't know how they're going to keep topping themselves on this. Um, but it just seems like everyone is taking the show and the opportunity to be on Disney Plus really seriously. And that makes me really happy because there have been seasons where it has been weak. It's lost its luster, and for me, I feel reinvigorated about Doctor Who because of this season so far and what they've shown. I've had a few friends kind of say, I fell off. I don't really watch Doctor Who anymore. I don't really like what they're doing in this new season." I go, "Well, have you watched it?" And they're like, "No, I've just watched trailers." And I'm like, "Well, give it a try. Give it a try,
Yeah, give it a
especially if
chance.
you kind of fell off with like any Jody or Capaldi or whatever, I would say just jump back in here. You don't have to catch up or anything and see if it tickles your fancy at all because I am so pumped for this. Like I would do a weekly episode update because I'm so passionate about how great this is. The music is stellar. We have some of our OG peeps back in their roles working on the show and I think it's definitely to the advantage of the show and casting has been great, storylines are great and I think it's like unlimited possibility with the show. Hopefully we'll get more people on.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest takeaway is that like one of the things that I love about Space Babies is that it kind of epitomized the fun weird factor that Doctor Who has always kind of managed to capture, right? And there was something about coming in and you can tell there's a bigger budget. You can
Yeah.
tell when they go to the
Yeah.
dinosaur, when you see a dinosaur and you're like, oh, hey, that legit looks like a dinosaur. And before that thing would have been rough, right? Like it would have been rough because that's where, but that was always kind of part of there was some folksy charm to that. And they always got inventive with like actual, uh, like physical makeup and all that. Like they really had to
Mhm.
kind of get inventive with that stuff because they didn't just have a ton of CGI budget,
Right.
and so that led to some great creations. And here, like, I love that yes, there's an increased budget and stuff looks good, but there's still a little bit of that like fun,
Crafty.
crafty look. Like when the
Yeah.
babies roll in, right? They
Yeah,
look like babies. So we
they
don't have
do.
like a Renesmee situation here.
Yeah.
But like they still look like
The CGI
cute little
mouth
baby.
was a little off, but that's
Yeah,
fine.
it's a little weird, right? And they're rolling in, so like their little arms are moving.
Yeah.
I laughed at that stuff because that's perfect. That's the
Yeah.
perfect amount of we put money into it, but we're still Doctor Who. We're still
Yeah.
fun. We're not gonna go overboard, And I love that stuff. So I hope we keep that. And it does seem like we've kept the spirit of the show, and we're opening it up to a new audience. And that's ultimately what I want for Doctor Who. So yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
excited. I'm right there with you. I'm gonna, we're gonna make this kind of a regular part of the show
Yay!
because we gotta talk Doctor Who. We get a new
Awesome.
episode every week, so it's releasing at Janelle's preferred format every Friday evening.
Let's
But
go.
But check out our main show where we'll catch up with the other peeps on Friday, see what they thought. We will be talking more about this as the season goes on. Of course, you can check out all of our shows. We have Tuesday is all about anime on Anime Initiative. Wednesday, it's all about the pull list and comics. Thursday, it is all about gaming and quick save. And then Friday, of course, is where we do the main show and we get the group together again. So thank you, everybody. Janelle, thank you so much
Thank
for jumping on
you.
here. This is so fun. Always so fun.
I know, I love it. Doctor Who, Whovians unite. Let's go. Dur, dur,
Peace out,
dur.
everybody.